So after, I think it was about 5 months into practice, I decided to join.
All right, okay. And then what happened?
And
you
so,
joined, and how?
Well, I
did the
joined, and
practice-
that would have been late October of 2010, October, early November. And then at that point, we started to put a Toyota motor in and the Toyota transmission and everything, so the car starts to function. So we grew quite a bit. Everything was going well. We were growing.
You were excited. Now
I was
we're going.
excited. Finally, things.
Life is good.
This is what I had envisioned.
Yeah,
Actual
that's what you
people
had
to lay my
envisioned?
hands on.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
practice was as you thought it was going to be before.
It was going that way. Yeah.
There you go. Right.
And
then I guess there was an interruption. And
there was an interruption, I guess.
well, this was a bit of a focus buster.
Yeah.
What
well,
happened there?
We were 9 months in, and so we were 9 months in. It was me and my wife and my newborn baby, and we were 9 months into the storm, and I had built the office of my dreams. And we were doing okay. We were doing about 60, 70, maybe up in the 80s patient visits per week.
Patient visits per week, about
So-
80 patient visits per week, and you had been in practice for 9 months.
Yeah, about 8.5, 9 months.
Okay.
And then April 27th, we got I had about, again, early in practice, I had about 10 patients scheduled on a Wednesday afternoon, April 27th. And, excuse me, having about 10 people scheduled, about 5 or 6 of them called in and says, I'm not coming. The weather's supposed to be real bad. They're talking about it on the news. And so just about everybody canceled, about 1 or 2 people. And I thought, well, if everybody's canceled, and I said, just to be safe, we'll call the afternoon, we'll go home, and we'll come back and reconvene in the morning. Then later on that night, I live in a different city than I practice, but it's only about 10 miles away. And I was over in my little city, and I thought, then they said the weather's supposed to be really bad out there. There was some tornado scares and some more, some talking about tornadoes. So my wife and I, we got my son and we got our dogs, and we got in the closet and put all the, all the comforters and sheets and pillows and baseball helmets or whatever, whatever we could find around us. And we laid there, and I listened to the radio on my phone talking about the weather and the news, and everything passed. My house shook a little bit from some wind, but that's about it. And everything passed. We stayed in the closet an hour or two, and then I got on Facebook, oddly enough, just flipping through my phone because we were killing time.
Yeah.
And somebody said on Facebook, a friend of mine in the area said, they just said, "Hey Doc, is your practice okay?"
And you thought, why would he
And I
ask
thought,
that?
well, that's over in Ringgold. I don't understand. That's over in the town I practice. I don't understand why. Why is that a
that's
concern? The storm was out near us. Then I wrote her back and I said, why do you ask? The storm's out here. And she says, no, Ringgold was just completely demolished
Wow.
by an
What
F4
news?
tornado. So I parked in a parking lot where they had set up a command center, which is about 2 miles away from my office. And I actually asked one cop. He says, He says, if you want to go up there, he says, you can walk up there. It's about 2 miles. He says, but you can walk. You can't drive. He says, you can walk. Be careful. There are power lines down everywhere and puddles of water. Stay out of the puddles of water with the power lines near them. And he said, I just tell every cop on the way there, this is what you're going for. So I walked up there about 2 miles in the dark, and I told every cop on the way there, this is my office up there. I just need to get in there. And got up there eventually, and took a look. All I had was a little bitty pen light type flashlight, and I could see from the front of the building. The front of the building was still standing, but from 6 inches past the front of the building, I could see that everything posterior, everything backwards was just completely demolished. The ceiling was hanging down on the front of the building. Had a metal tin roof, and the roof was just torn up like shrapnel, like somebody had just taken paper and ripped it into shreds.
Now, Dr. Josh, here's the thing. You're now looking at this, and it's not just your office. It's your town.
Yeah,
I mean, you're looking at this town, and the town is demolished. Your office is demolished. You got to be thinking, oh no. I mean, how do you recover from something like this? What's the town going to do? What are you going to do? There had to be a bit of where do we go from here?
Yeah, what do we do now?
What do we do now? What are the steps? And so, here's one of the things that I think everybody that I love about Integrity Doctors, that you come into a situation like this. In chiropractic, we always say they eat their young. And the truth of the matter is, most chiropractors are really excited when somebody goes down because it's one less chiropractor,
Less competition.
Less competition, so
Sure.
now you can do good.
Sure.
And so this is almost good news, for some people. And the truth is, Integrity works the exact opposite. And so instead of being glad you're down and out, I want you to describe for us then when everything is gone, including the town, how did Integrity respond to you and these doctors? And tell us what took place from the, oh no, how can we recover, to now. Tell us what took place.
So I showed up at the office. This is amazing. I'd only been in practice 9 months. I hadn't really gotten deep roots in this town.
Right.
I'm not from this town, but I will tell you this. I got there that morning at about 9 a.m. that morning once the sun broke out, and we were going to go in and clean up. I got there and patients were helping and some family was helping. We were moving some things out, trying to salvage some things. And I got, I was going through some rubble, cleaning up some things, and my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, and matter of fact, it said block number. I answered the phone, and I said, hello. And she said, hey, Dr. Paxton, this is Gloria.
Your coach.
My coach, Gloria Everhart. And I thought, hey, Gloria, what can I do for you? I thought, well, this is odd. She says, I heard a tornado hit Ringgold, and I wanted to check on it. And I said, well, it did hit Ringgold. And she said, well, what? Are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. Is your family? Yeah, my family's okay. Is your house? Yeah, house is okay. How about the practice?
Not
Practice
okay.
is gone. I tell you, that morning, probably more than any other time in my life. I'm not perfect. I'm not necessarily Superman. There were some thoughts where I thought, I don't know, maybe my dad's a chiropractor. Maybe I'll just go work for him. Maybe I'll just not rebuild this thing.
No logical thought.
Maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll do that. Whatever. My wife has a lot of degrees, very well educated. I can send her back to work. And I thought, what can we do? Because I don't know if I want to do this again. My coach got on the phone, and she apologized for what had happened. She says, I'm so sorry. Now, where can we get you a temporary place to practice?
Not exactly the thought you'd had there.
And I kind of thought, is she kidding? Is she going to laugh after this? I thought that's not the first thing on my mind. My whole livelihood was just taken from me. She says, well, where in town do you know that you can get a good, cheap, efficient place to practice so we can get you through the storm? And I thought,
really?
I'll take her at her word. Maybe I need to do this. So we started talking, and she started talking about, well, here's your action plan. Step 1, we need to do this. Step 2, we need to do this. Step 3, we need to do this. And she gave me a battle plan to get up out of the dirt. And one thing she said to me that has driven me literally every morning since. When you go through something like that, you're raw and open and vulnerable.
Sure, absolutely.
Your whole person, who you are, is a wound. So it's wide open to receive, I guess. And she talked about principle number 10. Which has since then, I'll be honest with you, the only one I know by number is principle number 10. She talked about constancy of purpose. She talked about staying on purpose, being constant in your purpose. And the reality is when a tornado comes through and it rips your office up and moves it down the street and flips it upside down, it doesn't change your purpose.
That's right.
It doesn't change your purpose at all.
Hasn't been robbed.
Things may be different. I may be on a different adjusting table come Monday morning. I may be in a different office, but my purpose stays the same. And that right there, knowing that God was not a cruel God, and knowing that I was called to a standard of constancy of purpose, that was a principle that I had to live by if I wanted to be successful.
Not even a tornado could rob you of who you are and what you're here to do.
The purpose has to remain constant. Even in lieu of tornado, hurricane, death in the family, the constant purpose is what drives me. I like I said, I wavered and I got, I wondered and all this kind of stuff. But my coach was in the background calling me and emailing me, constancy of purpose, constancy of purpose, constancy of purpose, constancy of purpose, over and over and over. She wouldn't let me forget it. And I went back and told my wife, and so she got on the bandwagon. So every time I got sad or got down or anything like that, my wife whipped me into shape. Does this change your purpose? Does your purpose change? I'm sorry, I didn't get the memo.
You missed that.
And so...
So you found a place, apparently.
So I found a place. I got on the phone with my coach, and I said, these are my options. She says, it sounds like this one's the best for you. I was so shaken up, I said, I'll take your word for it. So we went at it. It's amazing to see those sorts of things. Chiropractors are known for being islands. We're known for going out and doing our own thing. Don't talk to me, don't look at me, and I'll do my own thing. But when you get amongst a group like this, never before in my life, I grew up in this business. I know a lot of chiropractors. Never before in my life have I seen a group of people, a group of doctors that literally just want to help. I had doctors from Integrity that says, I'm 5 hours away, but you say the word, I'm in the car right now in work boots.
Wow, isn't that something? Listen to that.
Or where can I send a check? Or I have I have extra equipment, or whatever the case may be. It was unbelievable.
You know, the Integrity Doctors is more than just a system of management. It is a family that is committed to your success as well as theirs, and that's a tremendous thing. Do this for us. One other thing for us, Dr. Paxton. It's been how long since that storm now? What's the time period?
Let's see. Today is March the 17th.
Right.
And April the 27th will be a year.
So we're only
11 months out.
11 months out. Tell us where you are today.
I ended up with the latest in Omni tables, which is what I always want to do adjust on. I ended up with Z-Tech stems. I ended up with the best of the best of the best stuff to treat my patients, to give them the best care that I could. I ended up with all the latest and greatest in diagnostics, SEMG, NCM, the whole bit. I ended up with everything brand spanking new. I could tell you 100 more stories of how the Lord showed me favor, but I ended up with everything brand spanking new.
And the practice is doing how good?
The practice, we've tripled our staff. We've had to, and I'm looking to hire again. We've tripled our staff. We are in, like I said, I was 60, 70 a week then. This past week I did 150 something visits. We've been at 35-ish new patients on average the last couple of months. We've tripled our revenue. We've tripled our services. We've tripled our staff. I love what I do.
So your practice has tripled since before the storm. Your office has more than doubled, 1.5 times, since before the storm. The quality of everything you have is better than before the storm. Now, you know, everybody, I don't know what Focus Buster you may have gone through, and I'm not sure what things may have happened to make you think you don't want to do more, you don't want to keep going, you don't want Principle 10, constancy of purpose. But probably it isn't a bigger Focus Buster than this one, being leveled. You see what it was, you see what it is. And not only is this great for you, Dr. Paxton, but I want this to be something that inspires, by the way, Principal, that inspires every one of us to realize what can happen in the next 11 months.
Yeah.
Not just for you in these past 11, but it's because you all of a sudden had to get focused on rebuilding. In the next 11 months, we're going to start at a higher level than you started at, which was the bottom. And we have every reason in the world to make history, to make a difference in people's lives, to get the 80%, because we're starting at a higher level even. We've got the next 11 months. Dr. Paxton, what an inspiration, man. Yeah. How exciting. This is terrific. And if this happened in these 11 months, imagine
the next.